Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at a Milky Way photo and how to bring out all of those beautiful starry details in Luminar AI. Hello and welcome to Luminar Coffee Break. I'm Angela Andrieux, and today I want to share with you one of my photos that I took a few weeks ago of the Milky Way. I was out at it's called the Motor Transport Museum. It's about an hour east of San Diego. And there's all of these really cool old rusty cars, trucks, and everything that, it's really just a photographer's paradise. And this is one of the images I captured. So let me go ahead and walk you through the steps I took to really make this image come alive. I'm starting in the templates tab, and I'm gonna go to some purchase templates and take a look at one here called Chasing the Milky Way. This one was created by Jack Fusco. And if you're interested in getting this template collection, and I highly recommend it if you like night sky stuff, go up to the help menu, go down to Luminar Marketplace, and pull up the marketplace here, go to the signature templates, and search for Jack Fusco here. It'll come right up. It's a great template pack if you like doing astrophotography. Let's get back to the edit. I'm going to go ahead and run with this one here called Magnificent Milky Way 4. And I love how it gives me a much better starting point. Already this image looks far superior than what came straight out of the camera. So here was my raw, here's with my template applied, but we can make it better. Let's jump over to the edit tab and take a look at which tools were used to make this template and make a few modifications. We can see Enhance AI was used, light, structure, color, details, and denoise. If we scroll down, we see that that's all. So it's a pretty simple edit. So if you don't want to make if you don't want to go and buy a template pack, you can certainly make this happen manually. I just think it's a great way to get you a head start on your editing. But let's make a few modifications. I'm going to go to Enhance AI, and let's pull up our Accent AI quite a bit here. And I love the extra detail that's bringing out in the sky, but I feel like it brought up the foreground a little bit too much. Let's take a look at what was happening in the light tool. I can see that the template brought up the exposure by a full stop. I'm going to back that off. Maybe right about there is good. And I'm also going to back off some of that smart contrast. There we go. I'm going to then go down to my structure, and I'm going to add a bit more structure because I like the detail that structure brings out in the Milky Way and also in the cool old rusty car here in the foreground. So from there, I want to work directly on what we have going on in the sky. I'm going to go over to my local masking, click Add, and go to Basic. And we're going to start off with a Radial Mask, which is a circular mask that will specifically target the Milky Way. You want to make sure you have the inner circle selected, not the outer, and then draw a circle over the sky there. Now I'm going to shape this into more of an oval and rotate it so it's right over my Milky Way, and you can move that around and place it, and I'll even stretch this out a little bit longer. Everything in red is going to get adjusted. Everything that's not in red will be preserved. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring that structure up quite a bit more, and you'll see all of those details coming alive. Structure does amazing things for stars and for the Milky Way. I'm also going to pull up my exposure on the Milky Way just a tiny bit. You don't want to go too far because then it's going to be obvious the area that you lightened, but look at how much that did just for the stars. So there's the before, and there's the after. That load back up. And let me take a little bit of a moment here to take a look at the questions in the chat. Make sure you keep those questions coming. I love seeing those. And if you end up watching the recording of this later on, post them in the comments below, and I do go back and take a look at those. So Jerry said, I'd like to hear about your night sky shooting setup. This was shot with my Canon R6. I was using it's an EF 16 to 35 millimeter lens. It's an f4 maximum aperture. What I recommend doing is opening your lens up as wide as you can go. For me, that's f4. And you want to make sure that you're shooting between 15 and 20 seconds to really get those pinpoint stars. You go much past 20 seconds, especially over 30 seconds, you're going to start seeing star trails, and you're not going to get quite so much detail. So that's my kind of 2 cents for a quick episode, but we can talk more about that at a later time. All right, let's make a few more changes here to really make this Milky Way pop. I'm going to copy my mask here for the stars. So I'm going to click copy, go to the ellipses, and copy. And I'm going to go back to my tools. Now I'm going to scroll down to color harmony, and I'm going to go down to the split color warmth, where we can adjust warm tones and cool tones separately. I'm going to go to those cool tones because that's going to adjust the blues up here. Those are my cool tones, and I'm actually going to warm those up a tiny bit. As I do that, just a very small adjustment, you'll see some of those colors really starting to come out of the Milky Way. Now I only want those colors to really be affecting this area. So then I'm going to go up to the masking tool here on our color harmony tool, go to the ellipses and choose paste. And that's going to make that warming of that area localized to just those stars. All right, I think my stars are looking magnificent. Now I want to address the foreground. Overall, I feel like the foreground is too bright. And while I do want some emphasis here on the truck, which I did light paint, so if you're out there shooting at night and you don't have anything to light paint with, this would have been completely dark. I used a Lume Cube to very briefly, for about 2 seconds, flash a little bit of light onto the front of that truck and then put it back in my pocket to seal off the light. And so that gave a nice little kiss of light to the foreground. So fun little tip for you. Let's see, David says, I've seen Milky Way edits with color depth, suggestions to give more depth. You can certainly work with color harmony. I prefer to usually keep my Milky Ways looking a little bit more natural, but you can work with the color tool, saturation and vibrance, to really bring out more of those colors. All right, let's work on our foreground a little bit. I'm gonna go back to my local masking, add a new basic local masking instance, and we're gonna do a quick gradient to darken down the foreground. So I'm gonna go to my gradient mask and draw a gradient up like so. Everything in red will be affected. Everything outside of the red will be preserved. And from there, I'm going to drag my exposure down to the left to pull a little bit of that emphasis off of the foreground. I'm also going to back off the saturation a little bit, right about there. That looks awesome. Now, the final thing I want to do here is I want to further darken down this grassy area. It just really doesn't add anything to the image. It's a little bit muddy in its detail. The interesting part is really the truck and the Milky Way, of course. So there's a couple of different ways you could do that. You could go back to the tools, use the dodge and burn. But what I like to do is go up here to add basic. And we're going to use another basic local masking instance. This time we're just going to use the brush. And I'm going to grab my brush, make that a bit bigger here. Brush this in over the foreground, just right around there. Nice and heavy along the front, and then maybe pull back on the opacity, make my brush a bit smaller, get up here on the side of the truck, and maybe this truck back over here because it's not that interesting, and then pull back on the exposure slider just to subtly darken down those areas a little bit more. And that really draws your eye into the truck and up into the sky and makes for a really, really cool photo. Let me take a look here and see if there's any other questions that we have. All right, so let's take a look at our overall before and after. Here's the before, and here's the after. And I think it's amazing how much detail we're able to pull out of the sky in an image that, out of the camera, not terribly impressive. I mean, you can see a little shadow of where the Milky Way is. And I knew where it was because of some of the apps I was using my phone to really place and compose my shot. But then after a bit of processing, to see this pop out on the screen is just so exciting. If you're into Milky Way photography, astrophotography, like I said, I highly recommend checking out Jack Fusco's Chasing the Milky Way templates. They're a great way to jumpstart your creativity and get you going at a better starting point for those Milky Way images. With that, I want to wish you guys a great day. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up here on YouTube. We love seeing that. And make sure you pop any questions you have into the comments below. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.